Welcome back to Her Revival. I'm your host, Lainey, and today I've got such an exciting guest here. She's actually a really good friend of mine. She's a client with my online fitness coaching, and she's just someone where I know her story and her perspective are going to just speak to at least one other woman that's listening to this. So I can't wait to get into it. I'm just going to, Sam, you want to introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about you.
Sure. I've been working with Lainey for a year now,
Yeah, so happy anniversary.
and I've had such a great experience working with you. We
Yeah.
walk once a week and just kind of catch up and talk about
I look forward to it every week.
me
It's
too.
like an hour, hour and a half. We just fitness and health and just deep life things. It just fills my soul every time.
Me too. And I used to be a lawyer, and now I work in commercial real estate, and I teach fitness, yoga, and a resistance training class at the Yoga Joint in Central Boca, West Boca, Delray.
Mhm.
And I am just, I guess you could say I'm pretty devoted to wellness in general
Oh,
and
absolutely. I
love learning all I can about it. So it's just been,
feel like that's why we connect so well. Like we were talking about this maybe 2 weeks ago on our walks. And we were saying for us, like wellness is just so holistic. It's the nutrition, it's the exercise, it's your mindset, it's spiritual, it's all of those things. And to be able to turn it all into a lifestyle where you truly enjoy it and you're just taking care of yourself and you're
Mhm.
just so devoted to that. And it's just really awesome to have other people in my life that I found that value those things. Cause I feel like it's either people don't care about health and fitness and those things, and that's just not something they think about. And there's also the side where people only care about how they look and they're
Mhm.
just obsessed with those. And that's definitely a place where I used to come from. And, learning what I do now of, understanding how do I take care of my health. Food isn't just the calories and the macros, but also the quality of the nutrients. And I'm not just trying to exercise to burn calories, but how do I work with my body with all of those? And to see your perspective with those. And I think especially for you with yoga and what that's given you and just the connection to your body and being able to just think really deeply about everything. I just appreciate that about you so much. And I think that's what's made it so incredible to work with you and just see all these incredible shifts and how that's just really transformed like your confidence and your body especially
Yeah.
too, but just your mindset with everything. So I would love if we could start off of where were you at before we started working together? What did your health and fitness journey look like, if that was even in the picture up until that point, up until a year ago?
Well, I grew up in a house where movement was always just a non negotiable.
Mhm.
And as kids, it was kind of like sports, activities, moving your body in a way that felt really like juvenile as a positive. And that devotion and that in being instilled in me was always a constant. So I was always active.
Mhm.
Um, and when I was a lawyer, obviously my time was more of a commodity. So
Yeah.
I was active when I could be. And then my nutrition, especially when I was a lawyer, was dominated by the pressures of my day.
Yeah.
So a lot of kind of like that healthy fast food because you're in an office. And this was pre COVID.
Mhm.
Um, so whatever the options that were available were, I would try and be healthy, but if you're not making your own food, you really don't know what's in it.
Mhm.
And then when I transitioned to commercial real estate and had a little bit more freedom with my time, it was definitely a hurdle to figure out what that looked like. I was cooking a lot at home. Um, and then about 3 years ago, I became a fitness instructor and I teach in the heat. So
Mhm.
that added an element in that was completely unfamiliar to me because when I teach, I am in the class and I'm expending energy. I may not
Mhm.
do the whole class. And so my question kind of became how do I treat that? How do I nourish my body so
Mhm.
I can thrive, not be so extremely tired by the extra output of energy? And then what is my own fitness regimen when I have this added demand on my time, which I love? But it was just about figuring that out. I would say like my nutrition was something I always cared about, but definitely inconsistent. I had a lot of shame around choices that I would make or choices that I didn't make.
Mhm.
So whether when I ate a meal, I think I always had a follow up spiral around, was that enough? Did I eat the right things? Was that not enough? Was it at the right time? And I didn't have certainty around my choices.
Mhm.
And so essentially that's what it looked like for me before I started working with you. And that was really like, I think, weighing on me heavily and quite frustrating. Um, I also feel like I put so much into teaching and it matters to me so much how I
Mhm.
conduct myself in a class, how I inspire other people, how I keep them going. But it felt like to me, what am I doing for my own nutrition and
Mhm.
fitness to make sure that like what I'm saying to other people is what I live by as well in every facet?
I think that's so important. And I think what you said about just the second guessing with the nutrition when you don't really know, I think that's something that most people experience. They either just don't think about it at
Hmm.
all, or actually, I would say they probably think about it a little bit, but just not as much. But I feel like so many women, especially in today's society, it is a lot around like people talk about nutrition or how you look or being fit and
Hmm.
like losing weight and all of those kinds of things. But if someone doesn't understand nutrition, no matter what you do, there's just this, was that enough? Like, was that too much? And just so much stress and just focus on that, and being able to get to the point like where you are now where you understand how to treat your body. And I love that your lens has always been, I want to nourish my body.
Yeah.
It was from that, like, I want to do right by my body,
Hmm.
not necessarily needing to restrict. And from this negative lens, I think that's been really helpful for you as we work together, because it was pretty easy for you to get to that point. And we add in, understanding macros and the tracking and that little bit of structure.
Yeah.
And instead of that structure feeling restrictive, like it was putting you in a cage, the structure felt supportive. So you
Exactly.
finally were like, okay, I can support my body. I know what to do. I feel so confident in this. And food just gets to be this thing that helps you live this vibrant life, and you get to enjoy your life and enjoy all these experiences in this body that you're working so hard for.
Yeah. Yeah.
So with the yoga as well, I would love to kind of touch on this because I found when we first started working together, because you didn't lift a whole lot
No.
before we started. So actually, let's start there.
Yeah.
When did you start lifting weights?
I mean, if I was in a class, I would lift weights,
Yeah.
but machines in the gym, had no idea how they worked,
Hmm.
was always intimidated by that. Like I belonged to gyms, but that was just not an area that I would set foot in. I would do
Yeah.
the cardio machines
Yeah.
or the dumbbells if I felt brave that day.
Yeah. And never
Um,
super heavy, right?
Never super
Never.
heavy.
Okay.
So that was my experience with weights. Like I obviously knew resistance training was important,
Yeah.
um, but I had no idea where to start
Hmm.
with self-guided training.
Yeah.
So
Okay. So then we got into weightlifting. And the cool thing is we've trained in person a couple times, but otherwise it's been virtual
yeah.
of like doing this, set with the form check videos or just kind of talking through all of that. So I'd actually love to hear, how was your experience with that been?
With training?
Yeah, with training, not having me, because I feel like a lot of people will say, well, I need a trainer in person all the
Yeah.
time, pushing me, teaching me. And for you to be able to have this confidence in yourself of, I can figure this out. And I do my best to give you all the knowledge and information that you need to learn. I've
Mhm.
taught a lot of clients virtually how to, if they've even never had any experience.
Yeah.
But like, how has that been for you?
It's been really empowering. I mean, you mentioned yoga at the beginning of you asking this question,
Yeah,
and I
yeah,
think, I mean, yoga gives us so many gifts,
it
and it's
does.
something that is a big part of my life, but in this context, one of the gifts it gave me was, like, I could feel the different parts of my body
Hmm.
that were supposed to be worked by these movements,
Yeah.
and so my mind to muscle connection was already honed because yoga, you strip everything down. Like you're
Hmm.
supposed to feel these things and you're supposed to be present with yourself and you're supposed to use the practice as a mirror. So maybe what's coming up is physical, maybe what's coming up is emotional, maybe what's coming up is just energetic, but you observe and
Hmm.
you accept without judgment.
Hmm.
And so that was a really great tie in to working with you because even if the movements of the program felt like, well, I don't know what I'm doing, I don't know how heavy to lift, I could rely on my body and what I felt as my barometer of,
Hmm.
am I lifting too heavy? Is this too many reps? Or just as I went to know when to stop. And then the things that felt overwhelming, I mean, thank God we live in the same place that we can train and you can form check me in person. And
Yeah.
those training sessions have helped me when a particular day or new exercises have felt like I needed that extra guidance.
Yeah, and I was shocked at first because with things like RDLs, for example,
Mhm.
people usually take a long time to figure those out. I have clients where they've been lifting for years and years and years and
Yeah.
never really focus on the form and that connection, so we're having to strip it back, and it takes a lot of time. So when I asked you how it felt, and you're like, "Yeah, no, I feel my glutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I feel this one. I feel
Yeah.
this one." I was like, "No way."
Well, keep in mind, because I do teach resistance training
Yeah,
with lighter weights.
yeah,
So I already knew the movements and the
yeah,
form. It was just that I was lifting way heavier.
yeah,
So that form was something that stayed constant. If
yeah.
my form dropped, I knew, okay, it's too heavy. But I was able to push myself because I knew the framework I was supposed to be moving within for different movements.
Yeah, and you had such a base and you just trusted yourself. I can do this and I can trust my body. I think is a big thing for you. You can
Yeah.
trust yourself and you can trust your body and you have progressed so fast. And it's just been really cool, especially when I do see you in person. And I feel like we all like hold ourselves back a little bit. We're like, I don't really know what I'm capable of.
Yeah.
And then you have someone there to just push you a little bit harder. But even when I watch you train or I push you, you are so intentional with how you do the movements. And I think that's been a massive driver of this change that we've seen and how much stronger that you've gotten and the muscle that you've built in this time frame. Like you've progressed really fast in a year and the changes that we've seen
Mhm.
and just you having that foundation and just really focusing on that foundation. Like that's where I always have to bring clients back to when we start. It's like, hey, whether you've done this before or you don't, we got to make sure that that's really strong. And for you having that, that just set us up for such a phenomenal spot, and I think that's also what's allows you to really enjoy weightlifting.
Yeah.
Like, you look forward to your sessions, it's very like, even if it's a hard day, it's, like, cathartic for you to be able to go and move your body and release those.
Yeah.
And I feel like for a lot of people, the gym or exercise can feel really intimidating or, like, a lot of pressure, like, they just don't want to. Their mindset is that, "I have to, and this sucks, and this is painful, and this is hard," and I feel like you just embrace that and you see it in a different way, so I'm curious of what kind of goes through your head when you are like actually excited to go work out or you're, let's say it's like a leg press or Bulgarian or one of the really hard exercises I put in your program and you're truly pushing yourself to that point. Like what's going on in your head?
Well, I'm not excited to work out every day.
None of us are. I wish we were, but
It's just since working with you, it's just become a non-negotiable.
yeah.
It's like, do I have to walk my dog today? Yeah, I do, and I don't get the option.
Hmm.
And that's what working out has become for me.
Hmm.
It's something I know for sure, whether I walk into the gym feeling not great
Hmm.
or I walk in feeling great, I'm gonna feel exponentially better when I'm out.
Hmm.
So that certainty is something I can rely on. And I think the process has been congruence. I signed on to work with you,
Hmm.
and part of working with you is hitting certain milestones. It's making sure I'm doing all my lifts for the week. It's making sure I'm tracking my macros and getting my steps and drinking my water. And if I say I'm going to do that thing and then I do it, then that essentially like lays a foundation for whatever's coming the next day and then the next day and then the next day. And that becomes that internal driver of confidence, of certainty, of congruence because I care about my wellness. So
Yeah.
what I'm doing every day, my habits reinforce that.
Hmm.
Everything's sending me in the direction I want to go, whether it's external, whether it's actions, whether it's integrity, whether it's values, all those things align and point in the same direction, which to me is kind of like the vital way for me to live a life in the light.
Hmm. With with working together, especially in the first couple of months, like you would just start to make comments in your check-in. I'd ask, how we doing mentally? Like, what are some wins? And you just this theme of the confidence
Mhm.
was just something that continued to come up and just how you carry yourself and how you navigate situations. And do you believe it's maybe like, was it the weightlifting? Was it the structure? Was it showing up for yourself? Was there anything specific or accumulation of multiple different things that you felt just gave you this confidence in yourself?
It was so many things that converged. I think what stands out for me is like you said that structure
Mhm,
that you gave me through coaching and guidance,
mhm,
it stopped being restrictive and it started to be something that was like encouraging and a way forward.
mhm,
So living in that structure for me has been incredibly beneficial.
mhm,
It gave me certainty. So in every context it gave me certainty that what I was choosing to eat, how I was choosing to move was getting me to a goal.
Mhm.
Also, it was serving my body. Also, it was serving my mind. So
Mhm.
moving through every day knowing that I'm doing the things that the program has set for me,
Mhm.
that instilled me with confidence. Obviously, the physical changes instill you with confidence. Like, we would be remiss not to mention that.
Yeah.
But internally, there is just kind of like something that locks in where I mean, for example, with food, like I said, I would always have so much noise after I had a meal.
Mhm.
Did I eat enough? Was it the right thing? Could I have done better? Why would I make that choice? Or if I felt like I didn't make the right choice for a meal, then I was like, oh, my whole day shot. I don't
Mhm.
have that anymore. I don't
Mhm.
have that noise. I can make choices
Mhm.
and I can plan my day accordingly, and I don't need to look back over my shoulder. That frees up so much
It
mental
totally
energy,
does.
and that instills you with
It
confidence
does.
because you have that bandwidth and you're like, okay, I had my meal. I tracked it. I know it's good. What am I doing next?
Mhm.
Like, how can I move through my day? And so you get confidence from all of the above. And then you get confidence being on the program 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. Like now I'm at a year
Mhm.
and you see the strides that you make in a year. You look back on like the highlights, the lowlights, because we all have them.
Mhm.
And you go through these things knowing that even like a bad check in, if I considered a check in bad, I got through it.
Mhm.
And it's like, it's not all gonna be sunshine and rainbows. That's okay. That's life. And I think it's just overall such a confidence booster to make a decision that helps you reach goals, whatever they may be. And
Mhm.
that to continue down that path, knowing that like you're moving towards greater things. Because as humans, that change for the good is something that like is our destiny. Like we're all supposed to evolve, all supposed to grow.
Yeah, and get
And
better, yeah.
yeah.
You mentioned you are also very organized like myself. You came with, like, your notes with your beautiful handwriting, and I was like, "I am the same way." So you mentioned, like, the structure, and I feel like a lot of people either just don't innately have that. I think we are both a little bit type A, just a
Yeah.
little bit. But even people who aren't like my husband is very type B, and he's getting structure, and it's actually serving him really well. So I'd be curious to hear whether it's with health and fitness or you're also just a very busy human,
Mhm.
with the structure, how you go about that, what you find to be helpful, especially in a way that it truly feels supportive versus restrictive.
I think just getting a sense of your day and your week
Mhm.
and how take, like,
Mhm.
what are the blocks I can fit my workout in? What are the blocks I can fit my walk in?
Mhm.
I have a dog, make steps super easy,
Yeah.
right? I don't have to, I have to get a certain amount of steps anyway.
Yeah.
I think I don't always do this, but planning your macros at least 1 day in advance, if not 3 days.
Mhm.
And then once you infuse your days with that thinking and once you start to plan ahead in that way, it becomes so second nature.
Mhm.
Like, for example, for me, if I travel, and I've told you this,
Yeah.
like, I am going to make sure that my travel is optimized. I'm not gonna stop the program, and I will find a gym, and I will make sure I have what I need to hit my macros.
Mhm.
But if I have 2 plane days and I know that getting to the gym on those days is just not something that I want on my plate, I am gonna make sure that I am as far along in my week as I can be, if
Mhm.
even if that means I'm not taking a rest day.
Mhm.
And then I set myself up for success, and I'm not backtracking. I'm not trying to fill anything in. I'm not, like, upset with myself.
Mhm.
So I think it's planning in advance. Um, I think it's making sure, especially with nutrition, that you have staples that you just return to over and over again. Going to the
Mhm.
grocery store can be just like autopilot almost.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously you're gonna get sick of certain meals, so you wanna add in a new meal.
Yeah.
But when I go to the grocery store, I'm pretty much getting the same stuff. And if I run out, then I run in for that one thing that I need to make sure I have. So
Mhm.
my days can be set up with success. Um, I think for me, like my circadian rhythm is something that I rely on. My sleep hygiene is really important to me.
Mhm.
If I don't have enough sleep one day, I know it's going to be harder for me to like feel good in my workout.
Mhm.
Hopefully it only lasts one day, but like getting into bed at a certain time, getting up at a certain time, and really relying on the level headedness and that evenness that I can approach the next day with because my sleep was so good.
Mhm.
That really helps. I think in a certain way within the structure, because if you are consistent, then you notice the difference between how you feel on a day when you're tired, or maybe you're a little bit emotionally drained, or maybe work is stressful,
Mhm.
versus a day where you feel like you.
Yeah.
And on those days where you want to pull back a little bit, you pull back and you give yourself grace, and you
Mhm.
understand that a new day is coming tomorrow, and you
Mhm.
might feel completely different the next day. But to have the structure, the container to move through your life in, gives you that comparison. That's also something that you like hone in yoga. Because if you're practicing on your mat regularly, you might understand how you feel different from yesterday to today. And you give yourself grace. It's not a judgment opportunity. It is just like, I'm human. Things affect me. I have to process through them. It doesn't mean I just drop everything and go lie in my bed and turn off the lights.
Mhm.
It's an opportunity for you to recognize, take what you need, and understand there's a new day the next day.
Mhm.
And that's also something that the program taught. It's like you don't screw up and then just throw everything off the balcony. If you don't have a great day, it's okay.
Mhm.
Tomorrow's a new day, and you just get right back on the program.
Yeah, I'm so big on that. Like this, none of this happens in a vacuum.
Mhm.
Like we've got real life and you've got real a human body and we've got like hormones and emotions and travel and work and stress and family, we got all the things.
Yeah.
So we have a set plan that gives us that support, that gives us that structure. And being able to have these habits and these routines that you have like really sets you up for success, not only in your fitness journey, but just to feel grounded. Like I
Mhm.
think that's something that part of why I just love being in your energy. It's a very grounded energy. I think yoga helps with that and your routines and the way that you go about your life helps you just try to feel as best as you can in your brain and your body.
Mhm.
And like you're saying, when you intentionally try to feel as good as you can, number one, you're like, I never want to go back again. Cause I had that stark contrast of, well, I really don't feel good when this happens. But then again, like what to your point, like what you said, you can tell when something's a little bit off and you
Yeah.
can check in with yourself a little bit more of, okay, where is this coming from? What do I actually need right now? How can I support my body? And there's no judgment in it. It's just, I just get to observe and just see realistically, is there anything I can change? Is there anything I can do different? Or maybe I just didn't get as good a sleep, or my period's coming up and I'm just going to ride this out and do the best that I can today and know that's absolutely enough. And I get to go into the next day tomorrow and maybe I try to get to bed a little bit earlier, but just not putting that pressure on ourselves.
Yeah.
And I think for you, you've really mastered that flexibility. Like you are very social and you do travel a lot. And for you to be able to, like you mentioned, you've got some travel days coming up so you adjusted those to be your rest days and you changed your training days and
Yeah.
you didn't miss a beat. You're like, this is just how it's going to be. I'm not going to, sacrifice if I realize I can get this in. That's really important to me.
Yeah.
Or even when you travel, being able to set yourself up for success with nutrition, even if the people around you don't eat the exact same way or they don't exercise the same way. And I think that's something else that I really admire with you because I've been the same way with that for as long as I can remember.
Mhm.
And that's kind of weird or different, I should say. Because a lot of people, if they want to do something different with their nutrition or their workouts than somebody else, they almost think, well, I can't do that.
Yeah.
And the way that I always frame this is, well, you're not going to ask them, like, I need you to track your macros and hit my amount of protein. I need you to do my workout with me. I need you to do the XYZ and make them follow your plan exactly.
Mhm.
Right. And people are like, well, yeah, duh. And it's like, well, if you just completely skip the gym and you completely neglect your nutrition and you completely neglect all those, you're now getting rid of yours to do exactly what they do.
Yep.
And you didn't ask them to do exactly like we don't, it doesn't have to be like that. We can do completely different things and we can still just exist and be together and have these memories in this relationship. Is that something that you've always been like? Or like, I'm just going to do what I need? Or has that changed as you've kind of grown in your fitness journey,
That's
your health journey?
changed
It is?
for
Okay.
sure. It's changed for sure. I think it was really hard for me to do that.
Hmm.
I would say my first introduction to something like that, that was similar to the program with with consumption, was almost over 4 years ago now. I stopped drinking alcohol
Hmm.
just kind of out of a realization that it wasn't really something I wanted to keep in my life. I didn't love the way that it made me feel. And I kind of just like didn't put pressure on myself and thought, okay, if I stop drinking altogether, will I miss it? And I think the only thing that kept me ordering that glass of wine at dinner was if I was at dinner with someone else and they ordered a glass of wine, then I would feel really weird not.
Mhm.
Um, and I didn't miss alcohol when I stopped drinking it. And initially, you get comments from people because they're used to you ordering the drink if they're going to order the drink.
Mhm.
And those comments kind of go in one ear and out the other over time.
Mhm.
And so that was something that I was very comfortable being individualistic about. And then when I started working with you, it helped that I have like a very close friend who also does a program like this. I have
Mhm.
an ally who I can talk to about the ins and the outs, and she understands completely.
Yeah.
So that's a huge support for me. But also, this is an individual, unique decision.
Mhm.
Nutrition and fitness are completely personal to the individual.
Yeah.
We all are different heights. We all have different weights. We all have different muscle composition. We all have different like fat percentage in our bodies.
Mhm.
People may be on medication. People have medical conditions. Like everybody is so unique.
Mhm.
So what works for me is not going to work for you, vice versa.
Mhm.
And I think that there is this like herd or pack mentality with nutrition. Maybe you're riding like the waves of social media and what you see on social media, you try and replicate.
Mhm.
Maybe there is something that you learned when you were young and that's worked for you until now. Or maybe it's kind of like that full meals a day and that's what you've always adhered to. But as you get older, like as I've gotten older, I realize one size does not fit all in this
Mm-mm.
realm. And my choices are for me. So
Yeah.
if I'm at dinner with five other people and they're all sharing and I'm not, and I get something that fits within my macros, if those people, like, truly love and support me,
Mhm.
they're gonna be like, "Oh, why?" Not in a way that makes me feel bad, but in a way that's just like, "Oh, they're curious,"
Yeah.
right? And if they're not interested in nutrition and fitness, fine, it doesn't matter.
Mhm.
But it's more just like everyone should be able to do what they want and feel supported doing it.
Mhm.
And that's an ideal thing to say. That's an idealistic thing to say.
Yeah.
I think it, for me, working with you was a decision that I did not make lightly.
Mhm.
And I felt so frustrated with how I was choosing to eat, how I was choosing to move, how I was choosing to rest and replenish.
Mhm.
I was going to put the time into fitness for sure. And I was
Mhm.
going to put the time into like the mental energy and wondering if what I ate was always right.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't I take the step to do it under the guidance of someone who knows what they're doing?
Mhm.
And I knew that it was going to be a big change. But what comes with it is kind of like you're walking your own path because you want something different for yourself. And
Mhm.
what comes with it is you got to drown out the noise.
Mhm.
You're going to get comments. That's fine.
Mhm.
A lot of times those comments might be made casually, and it's not necessarily that they're ill meaning. It's just people are used to things being a certain way and it highlights the habits that they might be insecure about because we all have
Yeah.
those. And like I said, like if you are doing what you set out to do, then you are acting in accordance with the values that you're trying to uphold. And as you build those skills, those comments become less and less consequential because what you eat affects no one but you.
Nope. I've been saying that since college. I remember that's when I started to really wanna eat healthier,
Hmm.
and I'd be sitting with friends at the dining hall, and they'd be eating, I don't know, like burgers, whatever it was,
Yeah.
and they would make comments of, "Oh, you're probably judging me for this," and I was like, "I'm gonna be honest, I'm not. It's not going in my body. I don't care. You do what makes you happy. I have no opinions on what you put in your body."
And I think it's also, we all struggle with our relationship with food
Yeah.
because every human has a relationship with food.
Yeah.
And how we eat defines how we think about ourselves to a certain extent. Tracking macros is definitely kind of something that can rub people the wrong way.
Mhm.
But if you put food on your plate, you are counting in
Mhm.
some way, shape, or form, whether it's
Mhm.
one slice of bread, whether it's one piece of chicken,
Mhm.
two pieces of chicken. And so, what's the difference in weighing your food or
Mhm.
understanding portions or writing it down or putting it in an app? Right? Like, it's like
Yeah.
we all count because it's just a natural thing to do.
Mhm.
Um, And so I just find that it's kind of like if this is like my lane and this is what works for me and I thrive in the structure. And sometimes people ask me about the program and I'm like, listen, it may not be for everyone,
Mhm.
but this structure is what works for me.
Mhm.
Some people eat intuitively, some people focus on only whole foods, some people intermittent fast, some people only eat like certain types of protein or they're vegan or they're vegetarian. And what works for that person is amazing,
Mhm.
right? And so it's just kind of like if my friend who doesn't eat meat is not going to order meat and share a plate with me, then why is it different if I want to track my macros and I order something that they wouldn't eat as
Mhm.
well? Right?
Yeah. And I think with the tracking the food and tracking the macros, where a lot of that comes from, and I can definitely speak for myself with having a terrible relationship with food and terrible introduction with even the idea of tracking
Hmm.
and calories. And it was all about restriction to being as low as possible. And from this place of, I need to restrict and shrink my body and I'll never be good enough until that
Hmm.
happens. That absolutely creates this terrible relationship with tracking and that turns people off. And for me, at least just for me, I was not okay with that. I was like, if I just say I will never track again, food will always have this hold over me. I'm
Yeah.
always gonna second guess. Was that enough? Like, was that too much? I didn't want that. I wanted that peace of knowing I truly know how to take care of my body and give it what it
Yeah.
needs and take the emotion out of it and take the judgment.
Hmm.
And the numbers are helpful to understand what your body needs. Because if
Yeah.
you're severely under overeating, that turns into some problems,
Yeah.
whether it's the calories or the macros, and being able to have this perspective of, I'm not judging myself.
Hmm.
I'm just truly learning what that looks like finally to
Exactly.
give my body what it needs
Yeah.
and not always just going off of emotion. Sometimes we do,
Hmm.
and not always just going off of pure pleasure. And sometimes we do.
Yeah.
But being able to have that middle ground and learning because the portion that works for you is different than what works for me, is very different than what works for my professional bodybuilder husband, who's
Yeah.
like two times our size.
Yeah.
And learning what that looks like while you're tracking, you get to see when I'm putting together a meal, and like the meals that you eat now are different than what you would have eaten a couple years ago. And it's going to serve your body a lot better now because you learn what that actually looks like. And then you get to go into situations where you're not tracking and you say, oh my gosh, I know what to do.
Yep.
I trust myself. I'm not going to second guess. I'm not going to spiral. I just get to pick the thing that whether I want to indulge, whether I want to maybe be something a little bit more nourishing, and I can trust myself that it's not going to be all or nothing. I'm going to eat to the point where I feel satisfied,
Yep.
and then I can just be done. And I know how to navigate the rest of the day. And I just get to move on with the next day of
Hmm.
my life and I don't get the stress. And like, I don't know about you, but that has been the most freeing thing ever
Yeah. Structure
because
gives you freedom.
absolutely, like, the knowledge and the structure is what gives you
Yeah.
freedom, and the very thing that, for me, caused a lot of stress and a lot of fear when I went just into that, and I said, "I refuse to let this hold this fear over me," that, like, changed everything
I know.
for
Yeah.
me. So that's why I'm so, like, I wanna make sure people aren't needing to be super rigid with it, but then when we are being consistent, like we're going at it with this positive mindset
Yeah.
that you have of I'm nourishing my body, I'm learning what that looks like, and I'm able to balance. I get to enjoy the food, and I also get to have the kind of knowledge
Yeah.
behind it.
Well, last night I went on a walk with a friend and I still had some macros left over and I came home and it was like 6:30.
Mhm.
And I had friends staying in my house like a couple weeks ago and they left this huge Costco sized container of these like mini Haagen-Dazs bars in my freezer.
Okay,
And I was like, I wonder. And it fit within my macros.
I
So
love that.
I had like one of them
Yeah.
and it fully fit within my macros.
Mhm.
I didn't think about it again. Like
Mhm.
if that happened before I started working with you,
Mhm.
I would have had it, gone to my into my bed and thought about it for, like, half an hour before I went to bed. Could I have
Mhm.
had that? Was that too much? Did I eat too close to bedtime? And it was like, I knew it fit in my macros, I
Mhm.
tracked it, and then I was like, "Okay, I have peace of mind, my macros are completely done for the day," and I was curious about whether I could have it, and I could.
Mm.
Night and day.
It takes the good and bad off of
Mhm.
food because it's just food, there's no moral.
Yeah.
And with the tracking, what it also allows is getting rid of the all or nothing. So you if you want the treat, you can absolutely have the treat. How do you fit it in? And one way that I like to think about this is say you ask your mom, "Hey, mom, can I go play with the neighbor?" She's like, "Of course, just finish your homework first."
Mhm.
She's like, "Yeah, you can do it. You just make sure you do this thing that you need. Make sure you get your body what it needs. And then you absolutely can have those foods that you want."
Yeah.
And I think the other thing, and that like I encouraged you and all my clients, like go take I call it like a free meal or an untracked meal.
Yeah.
And if you want to, you don't have to, but go out to eat and we're not going to track.
Mhm.
We're not going to bring a food scale. We're not going to put it in my fitness pal. We're just going to go and we're going to trust ourselves that I know how to navigate the situation. If I want it to be a little bit more fun, like a burger and fries,
Yeah.
I can eat that. I know how to navigate the rest of the day before that. I know how to not let me spiral.
Mhm.
And it's not going to be this thing where I'm going to obsess over it in my head or I'm going to feel like I need to go balls to the walls because
Mhm.
I felt so restricted before. So you can actually live your life. And then we are go back to being consistent
Yeah.
with the rest of the week. And then we have that time where we can have that flexibility. And we really can enjoy our life in this body that we're working so hard for.
Yeah.
So I'd love to hear, because I don't know if that was your approach with eating out and stuff before, but because you do eat out and you are like social and you go do a lot of things like that. Like
Yeah.
I'd love to just kind of hear like your mindset, like how that is for you.
I'm selective with when I take my untracked meals.
Hmm.
Um, if if I'm going out to eat and I'm not taking an untracked meal, I'm selective with where I'll eat, and I look
Hmm.
at
Hmm.
and I feel like before, if I said, "Okay, I'm going out to eat, but I'm gonna eat healthy and I know what I'm eating," because 'cause I'll always look at the menu before even before I started working.
Yeah. You want to make sure you're going to like what you're going to get. Yeah.
Yeah, but if I was with a friend and they'd be like, "Oh, let's share," and I'd cave and I'd say, "Yeah, let's share." Or let's say, like, I didn't perceive that I ate healthy enough, or I didn't eat what I had planned to eat because it wasn't on I didn't have that structure.
Hmm.
Then I'd be like, "Well, screw it." I failed myself. So now I'm gonna punish myself. Maybe I'd have a bite of dessert, or maybe I'd whereas now, if I know I'm taking it untracked, that's planned ahead of time. It's not on the fly.
Hmm.
And when I go out to eat and I've selected and tracked and entered it, I'm not I'm not messing with that. And I don't have noise around it. It's
Hmm.
just a privilege to get to eat out in a restaurant. I don't have to cook this meal. I get to be in good company.
Hmm.
And I like the things that I pick that are
Hmm.
healthier.
Hmm.
I'm not eating boiled chicken to make my macros. I still like the things that I select from a menu or in my home,
Hmm.
and I enjoy eating them. So it doesn't feel like, oh, I'm forced to have this. It's more like, this is my choice,
Hmm.
whether it is tracked or whether I'm tracking it. And you can very easily track at restaurants,
Hmm.
as long as you ask for, the modifications that are necessary,
Hmm.
or you have a conception of what you're ordering and what's in it. Steakhouses are super easy.
So easy.
So easy. Sushi's really easy.
Hmm.
And I find people you're going out with, they tend to be more accommodating than not. If you have a preferred preference, you have a preference for sushi, people are always like, yeah, let's do it, you
Hmm.
know? And it's a lot scarier in your mind to make the adjustments to your life and track macros than it is in reality.
Hmm. I feel like a lot of people are scared to speak up for what they want,
Mhm.
thinking that they'll either be judged or that it's a burden for saying, "Hey, actually, could we go to this restaurant?
Yeah.
Like they have, steak or whatever that it's delicious. It makes me feel good when I eat it."
Yeah.
It's not just that it fits your macros. It's like I enjoy it and I feel good after I eat it, not like that kind of sick to your stomach kind of
Yeah.
feeling. And being able, hey, would you like to go to this place?
Mhm.
I do that. And sometimes they're like, no, I really want to go here. I'm like, okay, sure, we can
Yeah.
compromise. But just being able to speak up, or if you're ordering something, saying, like I always say, either no or very light oil and butter,
Yeah.
partially because of all of the extra calories that aren't necessary, but also, I don't know about you, but I don't feel good when I have so much oil and grease and things like that. Like I just physically feel sick. And for me, if I'm eating something, even if it is something a little bit more fun, I want to feel good after I eat it because to me, and this is something that I struggled with before when I did struggle with eating a lot of not great foods
Yeah.
and my relationship with food and binging and overeating. But you would eat the food that tasted good, but you feel bad after. And it kind of canceled it out. And you'd stress about it and you're like, I don't feel good after eating
Yeah.
this. So it was only pleasurable in the moment. versus if you can say, I'm either going to pick foods that really make me feel good
Mhm.
and it's maybe going to be a little bit healthier, a little bit more nourishing for your body. You find ones that taste good and you feel good and it's a net positive.
Yeah.
Or even if you are going to have, let's say it's a burger or fries, you're mindful of, okay, if I have a lot of dairy, I'm not going to feel good. So I'm going to limit that one. Or if I
Mhm.
have a massive basket of fries, I'm not going to feel that good. So I'm going to limit it. So it still can taste good and I feel good afterwards. And then it's a net positive again. And that relationship with food of like, I want it to make me feel good, just like a relationship with a person. You want them to make you feel good
Yeah.
when you're with them, when you leave that interaction. So I think you share the same kind of sentiment around food too,
Yeah.
of like what you pick and how much you have of it. And it's never out of this restrictive lens. It's truly I just want to do right by myself and by
Yeah.
my body.
I think it's really easy to lose sight of the fact that you're consuming something to
Hmm.
put in your body.
Yeah.
And there's a reverence for that, right?
Hmm.
Like everything is so instant gratification. You can get food on your doorstep that you did not cook in
Hmm.
20 minutes if you want it. And so it's easy not to think about the fact that we're putting this into our bodies.
Hmm.
And your body is an actual temple,
It
like it
is. Yeah.
is. And it seeps into how you move through the world, how you feel in your body, how you move in your body,
How you think, how your brain works.
how your brain works. It affects everything. And I think that that's something that I've learned through working with you
Hmm.
is these habits that affect our physical appearance or how we feel physically
Hmm.
have a massive influence on how we feel mentally,
Hmm.
emotionally, energetically. Even like the fact as simple as if you build muscle, you're going to be more stable as you walk
Hmm.
on a sidewalk. You're going to be more mobile. You're going to have better balance. You're going to have more stability. And like at our age, we don't think about that because
Hmm.
we don't have to, but it is a gift
Hmm.
that we all take for granted. And I think the older I get, the more I realize like the simple things are the things that invigorate me the most. They
Hmm.
bring me the most vitality.
Hmm.
And I think that structure brings allows me to keep my feet on the ground
Hmm.
in that way. What am I putting in my body? How am I moving my body? How hard am I pushing my body? How do I feel commensurate to how hard I push my body?
Hmm.
How am I resting? How am I recovering? And sometimes that means like I didn't plan today to be a rest day, but like I really don't feel great.
You
So
need one, yeah.
the day later in the week that was supposed to be my rest day is not my rest day anymore.
Hmm.
And that's a conscientious, intentional decision. You become
Hmm.
way more intentional with everything you do in your life
Hmm.
because if you are prioritizing movement, you have less time. If
Hmm.
you are tracking your macros, you have to plan ahead what you're eating.
Hmm.
If you know you need to get 8 hours of sleep, then you need to be in bed by a certain time.
Hmm.
If you know you need to get up early to go to the gym because you don't have that block of time later in the day, that's an intentional choice that is going to make you feel good. And so all of these things don't become a wait and see in the moment. They become planned in a way
Hmm.
that allows you to really like have that freedom.
Yeah, and just maximize your life and how
Yeah.
you feel. And I'm sure some people are hearing this and they're like, I am not that structured and I do not see exercising and eating healthy and doing that way. And I don't think that is the norm. Like I see more and more people being more aware of those and wanting to take care of their body and take care of their mind a little bit more. But in case there's either anybody listening to this and they're like, I don't know about that. That does not sound like I would enjoy my life at that point.
Yeah.
Or maybe people want that and they're trying to learn like how how has that made your life better? Why do you care about that so much? Why are you not just like, I'm just gonna eat whatever, not exercise, like F it.
I think being in your body and feeling comfortable in your body is a gift that you cannot replicate. And
Mhm,
I say that as someone who was not in my body for years
mhm,
and didn't even understand the concept of feeling in your body.
mhm,
And maybe I had like a very palpable taste of that when I'm on my yoga mat and I am flowing from pose to pose and I'm timing my inhales and my exhales with each move I make on the mat,
mhm,
but that feeling would end the second my class was over.
mhm,
Um, and I think just having that gift is definitely takes work and that devotion to the habits,
Mhm.
but to have that undeniable comfort physically as you move through the world, it's so funny because I was showing my progress photos to someone I'm very close with. This was a
Mhm.
couple months back. And I never even look at them. Like I take them and I put them in my hidden folder
Mhm.
on my phone. And the picture of me from day one of working with you, my shoulders were like this
Like
in the
slouched
picture.
forward, yeah.
And I think this was when I was still in my cut that I showed her, like, that was, like, the progress picture from that day.
Mhm.
And even just, like, how I held my body and put my shoulders back,
Mhm.
it was and she pointed it out. She
Mhm.
said, "Whoa, look at your posture. Even your posture is completely different."
Mhm.
So, that's that's a physical that's a physical effect, obviously.
Mhm.
The confidence, the certainty. For me, alignment and congruence is just really important.
Mhm.
Um, I know we were talking about this the other day, but that kind of ties into like my astrology, which obviously you know I'm very into. But
Yeah.
what matters to me internally, my values, if I'm not living those values, then I move through the world in shame. And that's just something I've learned about myself over time.
Mhm.
A lot of like self study
Mhm.
and experience. And so this program has given me that through line
Mhm.
between my values and my habits
Mhm.
and my strength that I build because of that through line.
Mhm.
So that I would say is like a huge draw to doing the work. And it's like, yeah, I'm a year in with you and I can say all this with confidence now. But I've told you this and you know, the day I signed up with you until the first day of my program when I got a sense of like, okay, A, B, C, D, this is what I need to do.
Mhm.
Terrified, terrified.
Mhm.
Can I do this? If I fail, how disappointed in myself will I be? It will wreck me.
Mhm.
It is really scary to move out of your comfort zone.
Mhm.
And it's also really scary when you do it and and you take a bet on yourself
Mhm.
because you don't want to let yourself down. You can't hide from that.
Mhm.
But I think a little bit of fear and going out of your comfort zone is like the spot that you should be in if you want to grow, if you want to evolve. If
Absolutely.
as you get older and have more lived experience, you want to refine and double down on the things that matter to you.
Mhm.
And if you're curious at all about your well being, your wellness, your health, your longevity, your vitality, your stability, your balance, like all these things tie into working with you. Plus, you're never going to be able to build muscle this effectively as this moment right now. The present moment
Mhm.
is all we have, right?
Mhm.
So I think that tied into me wanting to work with you. I was like, I'm never as young and vital as I'm going to be in this moment. So why? It's time for me to do something about that,
Mhm.
to move to build muscle. And I think like working in fitness, you see like, I have people coming to my classes who are easily in their 60s and 70s, and they have amazing muscle tone and they're vibrant. You would never know their age. They're ageless
Mhm.
because they are so invested in themselves. And it is a beautiful thing to see that, just
Mhm.
like the light that reflects off of them
Mhm.
in the room. And it's like when I'm 60 and 70, I want to be in that room. I want to be in that mind space, in that physical body where I can still I can still move and I can still rely on the fact that like my habits created that. Like how beautiful is that to get to that age and be like, wow, I've taken care of myself to the point where it's like maybe I'm still growing muscle and I look even better than I did 20 years ago, right?
Mhm.
Like it ties into all of that mental, physical, energetic. And I just think it's kind of like it's so inspiring and it is so hopeful and wonderful to live and to know that like each day, each week, each month, each year, you can be better comprehensively than the last. And like
Mhm.
that to me is really just like gets me going. That's a very big motivator for me.
Yeah, and I feel like it's so funny what you said of how people are, like, scared to go outside of their comfort zone because 'cause they're scared to, like, bet on themselves
Yeah.
and, like, potentially fail or be like, "Am I good enough?" But I think the irony in that is if you don't, you did fail yourself
Yeah.
because you have this thought in your mind of what you're capable of. this dream, this goal that you have, it's there for a reason. You wouldn't think that if it wasn't capable. And the cool thing is you get to that goal and you realize, holy crap, I'm capable of even more than
Yeah.
that. But if you never let yourself go for it, you automatically fail.
Yeah.
Like the shame that you would maybe feel from failing of trying, at least you tried. And if you never move forward and you never reach it, the shame of like, I'm not taking care of myself, I don't feel very good. And like that eats away at you, or
Yeah.
at least for me it did. And the people that I talk to, it just eats away at you. And you're like, I know that I deep down deserve more, but I'm so scared to give myself
Mhm.
more. But either way, it's going to be hard. And if you have this growth mindset of what you have, of, the growth literally happens outside your comfort zone, whether that's with lifting, you have to get uncomfortable to grow muscle or anything in life. If you want to grow in your career, you got to go somewhere where you're like, I don't know what's going on. I got to learn all the things. And if you go at it into this mindset of, I'm okay that I'm bad right now. I'm beginning. That's the point.
Yeah.
Like when you first put your kid on a bicycle, you're not going to put them on a two-wheel bicycle and they just go. They're on
No.
a they're on a tricycle. They get on the normal bike. They fall off. They got to keep trying. And it's so funny because as a kid, we don't think anything of it. We're like, I'm literally bad at everything, and I'm just trying to figure the world out. And then at some point, we become an adult, and it's this fear of being bad and of failing and trying and being seen as someone of who, God forbid, actually tries and
Yeah.
has to learn a few times with it. But when you have this mindset of how what you have, or the way that I have in myself now, like it just becomes so much more enjoyable to have these hard things and to step forward into it and to have that fear, like what you said you had, and to be like, I'm just going to do it anyway.
Yeah.
Because while that sounds a little bit scary, I'm sick of being where I'm at right now. I know that I can have more. So I'm going to just frick around and find out
Yeah.
and see what I'm capable of.
Yeah. And also working with you, you tailor make a program for the person.
Mhm.
It's not one size fits all. Again,
Mm-mm.
if someone's comfortable with a certain aspect, you're going to push them to move further in.
Mhm.
If, let's say, someone's like lifting and form is still kind of like something they're working on,
Mhm.
then you're not going to give them harder movements. You're going to
Mhm.
allow them to have the time to really ease into it, to
Mhm.
understand all these parts of it. And we progress at a rate that is like internal to us. And that's a
Mhm.
beautiful thing. You don't need to go like 100% right off the bat. It is progressive.
Mhm.
And I think also it's just like, it's so enriching to understand that like you can see the progress week over week. I think
Mhm.
something else that is so vital, it's hard to check in with
Mhm.
ourselves in general. Like
Yeah.
life is busy and you don't wake up in the morning and think, how am I feeling today? Let me
Mhm.
like pare it back and really take this time. Most people wake up and they got 20 minutes to get to work and they just have to figure it out. And what I love about like the weekly check-ins that I have with you is it's not only a pulse check on nutrition, fitness, steps, digestion, energy, stress, sleep. It's more like, how did you feel? What were your wins this week?
Mhm.
And sometimes I'm in a check-in and I'm like, I think I've had a normal week. And then I'm like, wait, this week was really hard.
Mhm.
And it takes me the 7 days to get to the point where I'm filling it out. And I'm
Mhm.
like, oh, I did all these things and I had all this stress that I just pushed through because I'm in survival mode,
Mhm.
but I'm taking a moment here to reflect on it and to
Mhm.
understand that even in this context, I did the best I could. And
Mhm.
that also contributes to like that sense of confidence and that sense of well-being because you
Mhm.
realize like there are going to be easier weeks than others. There are going to be harder weeks than others, but your dedication to yourself stays consistent
Mhm.
and that's not the thing that wavers. It's like you can weather the storm
Mhm.
and you can enjoy the highs in the framework of that structure.
I think that reflection part is so important. And that's something that I hope when a client moves on from working with me, that they keep that in some capacity. And maybe it's not, taking their progress photos and doing things on necessarily like a weekly basis, but being able to have those checkpoints and say, I actually have a goal I'm working towards right now. And where am I at in that? Am I honestly giving myself that effort? Or maybe the goal is just to maintain and get through a crazy season.
Yeah.
Am I honestly supporting myself the best that I can? Or where were areas that I struggled? What could I maybe do to help myself better the next time? And there's no judgment. Everything is just data. We get to step back from it objectively.
Mhm.
Not that subjective, but the objectively, just look back and say, hey, how am I doing? Is there something I'm crushing right now? Let me give myself some credit for that, because I think that's something at least a lot of high performers are really bad at.
Yeah.
They set the bar really high and they just get that, but they're like, "Well, I just expected myself to get there, and maybe it could have been better." And, like, yes, everything could have been a little bit better, but, like,
Yeah.
we're not shooting for perfection. Perfection doesn't exist. I say that all the time. It only exists in your head.
Yeah.
So for you to be able to say, "I'm actually gonna give myself so much credit because maybe I didn't perfectly nail my macros every day." We also don't need to.
Mhm.
But the fact that I had the travel or the stress or whatever going on, and I still feel so good with the choices I made, or maybe there is one where I didn't feel as equipped to make that choice. We just reflect and say, what's one thing I could have done differently in the next situation that I would want to do? And then you're able to equip yourself, and I call it your tool belt or your
Mhm.
toolbox, and you just built another tool that you can put in there. So your future self, when she's in another situation like that, she feels confident that she has what she needs to handle that.
Yeah.
And it's always thinking of that future self. Like, you're taking care of your current you now. And maybe it's not always doing the most pleasurable thing. Maybe it is doing something that's hard. Like, "Oh, I don't really want to go do leg day, but it is leg day. So I'm going to go." Partially because I want the results from that, but also because of the integrity of, I said I was going to, and I want to be someone who can keep my word and go do hard things. And I'm doing that partially for my future self, but also for my current self, because I know what she needs is just confidence in herself. And a quote that I love from Alex Hormozy, you know who that is?
Mhm.
So it's something along the lines of, confidence is not built from shouting affirmations in the mirror, but by stacking undeniable proof that you are who you say you are.
Yeah.
Outwork your self doubt. And I think before that would not have resonated with me, but now it absolutely does. Because for me, if I'm going to stick to my nutrition or I'm going to stick to my workouts or whatever those things are, it's not because I feel like I quote unquote have to.
Yeah.
It's because, number one, they make me feel amazing physically, but just mentally, knowing I can trust myself. So when I've inevitably had really hard times in my life, some I've shared and some I haven't on the internet,
Yeah.
uh, I trust myself to get through those because I show up and I do things when they're hard, and I celebrate being able to do that. And it builds your character and it builds this trust that you can count on yourself. Because if you've got like a friend that they say they'll do something and they never show up, you're like, yeah, I don't trust you.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are like that to themselves. And that kind of holds that mirror up of, oh, shoot,
Mhm.
and that's really uncomfortable. But if you're able to face that discomfort, everything you want is on the other side of facing that discomfort.
Yeah.
Everything in life.
Yeah, and I think we've talked about this, but it like in a weird way that structure really deters you over time
Mm.
from breaking those promises to yourself,
Yeah.
whatever that looks like.
Yeah.
And it keeps you on the straight and narrow in a way that like your tie to or your loyalty to yourself and your integrity is so strong
Mhm.
that like nothing can break it.
Mhm.
And it also seeps into so many areas of your life. Like this seeps into career, it seeps into your relationships, it seeps into who you want to show up at when you're like walking into a room by
Mhm.
yourself. Um, and I think that that's like a really important lesson in life. And it's really easy to not learn that lesson. It's
Yeah.
really easy to kind of be like, well, it's good enough.
Yeah.
And that's a fine choice. But like you said, it's like if you think you can, there's something on the other side, then
Mhm.
like, why wouldn't you try?
Yeah. Worst case scenario, you didn't quite get it, but you learned
Hmm.
something. And that's a lot better than people who just never, step their foot forward in the first place.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I would love to hear if there is anything else that you feel called to share. Just anything at all, like a lesson, something that you love. Floor is yours, totally wide open.
Okay. Um, I don't know. I feel so overwhelmed. um, I just think that like understanding these building blocks
Mm.
is has just been so transformational for me. And it has changed the way I see myself. It has changed the way I see my like willpower.
Mhm.
It has changed the way I like hold myself in a room when I'm teaching
Mhm.
and how I communicate, the faith I have in myself. And it gives me kind of like when I'm training, that's my time for myself. Sometimes I'm listening to music, sometimes I'm listening to a podcast, sometimes I'm not listening to anything, I'm just, like, raw dogging it. But I'm always learning, and
Yeah.
I'm always kind of, like, locked into what it feels like in the body and being in that place where it's, like, you can feel like, you're doing the leg press and it's glute focus and you could feel your glutes lock in before you, like, push up.
Yeah.
There is something about that that is just like, it's almost meditative.
Yeah.
And I find, like, every aspect not easy, because none of this is easy,
Mhm.
but there is just something about, like, the allegiance that I have to it and the
Mhm.
peace and the certainty it gives me in everything that I'm doing that's, like, you can't buy that, you can't replace it, you can't replicate it. It is so invaluable
Mm.
that, like, I go to bed at night being like, "Good day." No matter even if it was a bad day, because it's
Mhm.
like you do what you need to do. Even if I'm taking that day as a rest day and I'm like, "You need to rest today," like, the only thing you did was your steps, and I'm like, "Good day."
Yeah. Yeah. That's such a good point. I love that. I love your perspective on all these things. Thank you so much for coming on and
No,
sharing
thank you for
them.
having me.
And I hope that you guys got some just good, fresh perspectives of people who, man, I just want the best for everybody. I want you to believe in yourself. I want you to be healthy. I want you to be confident. I want you to be fit. I want you to just have the energy and confidence in yourself to just go after life and all the things that you want.
Absolutely.
So thank you guys so much for tuning in with us. Thank you so much for coming and sharing. And I hope that whenever you guys are listening, you go do something today that your future self will thank you for.